This morning, the U.S. officially imposed a 10% tariff on all imported goods, marking a historic shift in global trade. The global markets reacted sharply, losing over $3.5 trillion in value within a week. The Dow Jones fell by over 1,400 points, and international markets like London's FTSE 100 suffered heavy losses. Despite this economic turmoil, President Trump appeared unconcerned, stating from a Florida golf course, "America will rich again." In response, $390 billion was pulled from U.S. bonds as nations scrambled to protect themselves from growing instability. Countries worldwide are distancing themselves from the U.S. dollar, driven by Trump's re-election and renewed "America First" policies. Many nations, including Brazil, Ireland, and Japan, have significantly reduced their U.S. bond holdings, shifting to alternatives like gold, euros, and digital currencies. Trump's announcement of new retaliatory tariffs starting April 2025 has further rattled allies. The European Union, China, and Canada have all responded with their own tariff measures, escalating global trade tensions and uncertainty. Domestically, industries like agriculture and automobiles are under threat. Retaliatory tariffs could shrink export markets, while rising production costs may lead to higher consumer prices and job losses. Meanwhile, the BRICS bloc, now including Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Egypt, controls 45% of global oil output and 36% of global GDP. They're discussing a new gold-backed currency, the unit, which could challenge U.S. dollar dominance. At the same time, China has cut U.S. imports and slashed its Treasury bond holdings, driving up prices and threatening critical supply chains. Sectors like technology, automotive, and renewable energy face severe disruption as China tightens export controls. American consumers could see costs rise significantly, with studies estimating a potential $22,000 increase in annual household expenses. The U.S. dollar's global dominance is also waning, with its share of international reserves dropping from 71% in 1999 to 58% in 2023. BRICS nations are increasingly settling trade in their own currencies. While the U.S. has introduced initiatives like the CHIPS Act to reduce dependency on China, experts warn that a full shift may take a decade. Unless swift, effective changes are made, the global economic order could be permanently reshaped. In a lighter moment, actor Jamie Foxx's eerily accurate Donald Trump impression went viral, capturing public attention with its near-perfect mimicry and drawing widespread praise for its comedic brilliance. Jamie Foxx's impression hit the internet like a tidal wave. Twitter went wild, TikTok struggled to keep up, and Facebook might as well have thrown in the towel. Comparison videos of Fox Trump versus Trump flooded YouTube. Viewers joked that Fox should replace Trump at his own rallies. Memes sprouted like mushrooms after the rain. Fox on a golden escalator, Fox doing commentary with Big Macs, even mock matches between Fox Trump and the real Trump. The internet devoured it all while the real Trump stumbled, clearly unsure how to react. Trump, never one to stay silent, fired back in typical fashion. "Honestly, let's not get political," he said. "Jamie Foxx did the worst impression of me I've ever heard. Terrible Trump." Then, in the same breath, he flipped, "It wasn't that bad. Actually, the best impersonation I've ever done, of me." The contradiction had people laughing louder. Stevie Wonder said it was amazing, he added, doubling down in classic Trump style. "So do you believe the blind guy, or the other blind guy?" he said. Nasty people, just nasty. Trump couldn't help himself. He jumped straight into social media, launching a barrage of tweets to defend his ego. First, he called Jamie Foxx a low-energy actor, which, coming from someone who considers golf a sport, was rich. Then he claimed the whole thing was fake news, suggesting the impression was part of a media conspiracy. And of course, he still couldn't spell Jamie Foxx's name right. Instead of erasing the moment, he accidentally ignited a whole new internet storm. "A lot of great people," he muttered. "I did it again." As Trump flailed, Fox soared. The internet was hooked, and each new Trump tweet only made the impression more legendary. Fox's icon grew larger with every jab Trump threw. It was clear. Trump's rage only fueled the hype. There are great people on both sides, Fox mimicked. I know Harry, he's a great person. He couldn't vote for me then, but now he can, once he gets out. I love Snoop Deal Double G, great person. He mocked Trump's every tick, every pause, and every claim. I love Death Row Records, he said, then interrupted himself. Excuse me, fake news. Fox nailed Trump's ego-driven tangents, and while he delivered hit after hit, Trump kept grasping for control. His rants devolved into nonsense, rambles about celebrities, loyalty, and insults wrapped in praise. Meanwhile, Fox had already taken the stage. He didn't just impersonate Trump, he became him. In doing so, Jamie Foxx turned Trump into the biggest talking point of his own presidency. Trump couldn't rise to the moment. The internet? The internet won. Then things got real. Mexico, led by Claudia Sheinbaum, fired back with a powerful statement: "We will not bow down." The timing was crucial. Just as Trump ramped up his 2025 campaign, Mexico pushed back hard against his policies. In response to Trump's threat of new tariffs, Mexico launched its own retaliatory strategies. Since Mexico supplies crucial auto parts to Detroit, any increase in tariffs would send car prices soaring across America. In 2022 alone, the U.S. imported over $60 billion in parts from Mexico. A disruption would hit American consumers, and fast. Mexico is also a key supplier of agricultural products and oil. Any restriction on these exports would spike food prices in the U.S., directly affecting ordinary families. American supermarkets rely heavily on Mexican fruits, vegetables, and meat. If that pipeline dries up, shelves across the country could see shortages and inflated costs. Mexico even hinted at the possibility of temporarily shutting down the border, a move that would paralyze supply chains nationwide. In short, Mexico was using its geographic advantage as strategic leverage. But the most serious blow came when Sheinbaum declared Mexico would no longer act as a humanitarian checkpoint for the United States. "We will not stop migrants just because the U.S. asks us to," she stated. With migration already a hot-button issue, this refusal to cooperate could spark a humanitarian crisis along the southern border, right in the heart of Trump's campaign season. Facing surging migrant numbers, Trump's administration floated the idea of a military-controlled buffer zone, raising serious legal and ethical concerns. Statistically, the threat is real. Every year, Mexico processes millions of migrants from Central America. If that cooperation ends, migrant flows into the U.S. could exceed 100,000 people per month, overwhelming border infrastructure and escalating political tension. But Mexico's resistance wasn't isolated, it was symbolic. Sheinbaum declared, "We will live in freedom and dignity on our own land, not at the command of Washington." Her defiance earned applause from other Latin American nations like Venezuela, Cuba, and Brazil. A new anti-U.S. movement was forming. The question now: can Mexico endure U.S. pressure, or will America retaliate even more aggressively? Meanwhile, a dramatic economic story is unfolding in Europe. Germany's conservative bloc won 28 to 29% of the vote, asserting its vision of stability and self-reliance. In contrast, the far-right AfD garnered just 20 to 21%. Friedrich Merz, leader of the conservative CDU, vowed to build a future where the AfD would no longer be necessary. His statement wasn't just political rhetoric, it reflected a deep commitment to responsible development in uncertain times. Across the Atlantic, the U.S. is moving aggressively to protect its own economy. Trump has proposed a 25% tariff on EU cars, a steep increase compared to global averages. This protectionist move aims to reduce trade deficits and support domestic industries. Trump's logic is simple: we protect them, but they cost us in trade. By hiking tariffs, the U.S. hopes to force better trade deals and stronger economic returns. Oddly enough, Trump has also expressed support for Germany's reform push, even though the AfD didn't gain majority traction. To him, any momentum for innovation, even from minority movements, aligns with his call for radical change. The juxtaposition between stability and reform in Germany mirrors global trade tensions. Countries are weighing tradition against disruption in their quest for long-term prosperity. In the U.S., the human cost of policy choices is becoming painfully clear. A veteran who served 20 years in the Air Force voted for Trump 3 times. He believed in the vision, but was laid off from the Pentagon despite top performance reviews. His story isn't unique. Over 6,000 veterans have lost federal jobs in recent months, many of them disabled. The question now is, who will protect the protectors? Voices of protest are rising. At a town hall in Iowa, once a pro-Trump stronghold, a citizen directly confronted Senator Chuck Grassley. "Why do you believe Trump is above the law?" he demanded. The room echoed with frustration. Across America, trust is eroding, not just in Trump but in the system itself. In Pennsylvania, a small butcher spoke about how tariffs were strangling small businesses. "Big chains get beef from Canada and Mexico," he said. "A 25% tariff will raise prices, and consumers will pay." The question looms. Are trade policies helping the people or hurting those just trying to survive? Meanwhile, a groundbreaking Alzheimer's study has stalled due to budget cuts. The drug could delay symptoms for people genetically predisposed to the disease. But with funding slashed, promising science is stuck in limbo. Why is research that could change lives being shelved? And as everyday Americans struggle, a billionaire and former cabinet member appears on a podcast promoting a $30,000 Tesla robot, tone deaf at a time when retirement accounts are shrinking and wallets are tightening. While the elite talk tech, the people feel the pinch.